Hi, Kirsten Corleone here from kirstentacular.blogspot.com. I'm on a mission to make the fashion words and terminology that we use a little bit more universal and user-friendly for both shoppers and designers and bloggers. So I'm writing a blog post, and it has three main purposes: to streamline and define current 2015 fashion terminology and explain that with this video. And the hope is that we all start using more of the same words to describe the same things so that we're not all confused. So here's my attempt at some universal fashion definitions. Rigged mesh is mesh clothing that will move with your skeleton and only moves with a few sliders. Those are often called the hard numbers, like your hip width, leg length, or arm length. You can't change the size of rigged mesh. Unrigged mesh is mesh clothing that you can size to make it bigger or smaller. Standard sizes are mesh clothing that is rigged and it's been made to fit exact slider numbers. And then there's fit mesh. Fit mesh is mesh clothing that will move with your avatar and changes with more sliders. Those are often called the soft numbers. For example, fit mesh clothing changes size when you move the body fat, butt, and boob sliders in your shape. Fit mesh does not mean that it will just fit exactly. You'll usually still need some alphas with most fit mesh items. Okay, so here is standard sizing, some standard sizing packages for both males and females. They're standard sizes. And on this marketplace site, you can see all of the slider numbers that are needed for each size. And these slider numbers are what we call the soft sliders. These do not move with standard size rigged mesh. And that's why we needed these sizes, because these sliders wouldn't move, and we had to have a certain slider number so that designers could make sizes so that we could all wear something. Standard sizing was the first really innovative, universal fashion definition, and it was so innovative for its time. We really needed it when mesh first came out and designers were trying to make clothing for all of us. We definitely needed it. Okay, so again, fitted mesh move with all of those soft number sliders that you saw on the standard size, the sizes. Those sliders do not move with standard size rigged mesh, but they do move with fitted mesh. And the fitted mesh is made with C-bones or collision bones. And let's go over to the Rigging Fitted Mesh Wiki and look at that. Okay, this is the Rigging Fitted Mesh Wiki, and there's definitely lots of information about what fitted mesh is. And the cool thing on here for me is the collision bones. So, you know, we've always had these collision bones up here. This is what liquid mesh was made with. Liquid mesh was like the precursor before fitted mesh. And basically what happened with the fitted mesh viewer is they added these, which if you look at it, these are pretty big ones here. With fitted mesh, they added the butt, the pecs, which are the boobs, love handles, back. So these were the extra ones that were added, and the belly, butt, boobs are also affected with physics as well. So these bones here are why we have fitted mesh, and what designers use. They pick and choose which C-bones or collision bones they need to make the fitted mesh design that they're rigging. I have a fitted mesh body on, Maitreya Laura, and I also have fitted mesh jeans from Vinyl and a fitted mesh top from Adams. Now with fitted mesh, you can move more sliders than you can with standard rigged mesh. Fitted mesh also moves the sliders that that standard size rigged mesh moves. Alright, so the first one is height. All clothing moves with height. So this is fit mesh, it moves with height. And you're going to see in a minute that standard size does too. Body thickness, all clothing moves with body thickness. You can see this better from the front. Oh, I turned off all alphas, and you need a few alphas with these. Not many, but you need a few right in the middle. But I turned them all off because I want everything to show when I turn on standard sizing. Alright, so body thickness moves with the clothing moves and the avatar moves. Body fat, yes, this is fit mesh. So my clothing moves and my slider moves. And now let's look at some standard size mesh and see the difference. So to do that, first I have to change my shape. This is not a standard size shape. This is what I call my curvy shape. So if I'm going to get into standard size clothing, I have to change to my standard size shape. There you go, you can see it's definitely smaller. Less body fat, less curves, because I have to fit into those numbers that I showed you earlier on the website. And then the next thing is, of course, putting some clothing on that's just standard size mesh. So here's standard size clothing. I have some Maitreya jeans and a ColdLogic top. I do love both of these pieces of clothing, but they're not standard, they're not fit mesh, and I'm kind of in love with fit mesh. So this is rigged mesh, and I need alphas. I need a lot of alphas. So, you know, if I alphaed all this out, it would look fine. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to leave everything, I'm going to leave all my alphas off. So there's no alphas on, so you can see everything move with the sliders. Alright, so height slider. If you remember on the fit mesh that moved, let's see. Yes, this is one that moves. So a height slider is a hard slider. It moves with both standard size mesh and it moves with fit mesh that you already saw. Alright, body thickness, you're going to see both of them do that. So the clothing actually got bigger. So it did, the clothing, this is rigged mesh standard size, and it does move with thickness, just like the fit mesh did. So they both move. Alright, here's the difference. Body fat. Body fat, you notice my clothing does not move. My outfit did move with the fit mesh, but it does not move with the standard size rigged mesh. So there's the big difference. The first big difference is body fat. Okay, alright, then when we go over to torso, I'm not wearing anything on my arms. It would be more noticeable, but yes, torso moves with fit mesh. And breast size, yes, breast size moves with fit mesh. The clothing moves and the avatar moves. Then when we go over to torso, torso muscles, my avatar will move, but my clothing does not move with torso. breasts, they move, but my clothing does not with standard size, and if you remember, it did with fit mesh. Same thing with breast buoyancy and breast cleavage. Legs, leg muscles, yes, leg muscles move. Both my clothing and my body is moving with the leg muscle slider. Hip width, and you're going to see when I show standard size, this is one of the ones that moves with standard size. So hip width moves, yes. Both my clothing and my body moved. And butt is an important one. Smaller or bigger, my clothing moves and so does my body. Okay, and then legs, leg muscles, if you remember. The clothing moved with that. It does not with standard size mesh. Fit mesh, the leg muscles will move the clothing and the body. It does not with standard size. Hip width is one I showed you, and I told you that they both move, and they do. Watch. So my clothing and my body both move with hip width, with both standard size and fit mesh. But this is still not fit mesh. Even though it moved with that one slider, it doesn't move with all the others, like you saw with the fit mesh. Butt size. If you remember, on fit mesh, my clothing moved, and it does not do it on here. My clothing does not move with standard size, the butt size, but it did with fit mesh. Saddlebags. Yep. My clothing moves and so does my body. So that's the joys of fit mesh. All the sliders move, both my body and my clothing. They make my clothing get bigger or smaller to fit whatever I did with my slider. Okay, so I've changed mesh bodies. I now have Physique on, and I have a ColdLogic dress that's made for Slink Physique, and it fits perfectly with no alphas. They have the third-party developers kit, so usually it can be done pretty perfectly, just like this. Okay, so one of the last definitions is unrigged and rigged, and I'm going to show you that with hair. This is unrigged hair, which means you can select it and stretch it and make it bigger or smaller with the in-game tools. And with rigged hair, you can't do that basically. So first of all, it's pretty hard to select it sometimes, but then if I stretch it, it doesn't move.